Hi everyone, today I've got a Schlage Everest Primus that I'm going to pick. Here is the key, there's the interesting side. That bottom section right there is going to interact with finger pins in this. This lock has two mechanisms for locking. It's got the pin stacks at the top, and then it's got finger pins that interact with a sidebar on the side. So I'm going to pick this clockwise. I'm just using a 1.2 millimeter tension bar from Lock Tools and just a regular hook number 4. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the pin stacks on this lock. There's no, interaction between the two locking mechanisms. They engage one after the other when picking, so it's pretty simple just to pick the pin stacks, and then that puts all the tension on the sidebar, and then I can manipulate the finger pins to the correct positioning to open that. So there's no special pins in the pin stacks on this, no security pins. They're pretty plain, which hopefully we'll see when I get to the gutting. I just need to pick them here in the correct order, and I will get a little tiny false set when they are all picked correctly. Okay, right there, it was probably hard to see, but I did get a little false set. So we're ready to pick the finger pins. So for the finger pins, I am using a tool that I customized, I guess. It's a decap lifter that I never really had great use for. So what I did was I filed it down to make it almost like into a little flag. And then I also ground the front edge of it down to a chisel point, essentially, so that I could slide it underneath the finger pins. The finger pins need to be lifted, but only a little tiny bit. It's very easy to overset them. And they also have to be moved to the correct orientation. So I needed something that would both fit underneath them, function to lift them, and then also be able to kind of grab them and push or pull them a little bit to manipulate their rotation. So what I'm doing right here is I'm sliding this underneath the finger pins until I find the one that feels like it needs to move because it's bound, and then I'm rotating this like a flag to lift it, and then sometimes I'm kind of trying to grab the edge of the finger pin and push or pull it if I feel like the rotation or the orientation is not correct. There's the tool a little bit better. You can see it's kind of shaped like a flag. The finger pins don't give great feedback, or at least not that I can feel that well yet. It seems like almost you get maybe a kind of dullish thud, maybe a little tiny bit of rotation when they set. But it is really still hard for me to tell, other than just touching the finger pins and feeling which ones are still loose. So I do a lot of sliding back and forth in here. because the finger pins are easy to overset, they don't need a lot of lift. Sometimes I also have to let the tension back a little bit and then listen to hear if one drops. I feel like if I overset one, that's what I'm going to do to let it drop. But if I let back too much tension, I'm going to drop the stack. So I'm trying not to let it off too much. Oh, there we go. All right, so got an open there. I'm going to take this out of my vise and I will gut it. So this lock is in an LFIC format. There's actually a 7th pin, that's the control pin. Oh, I'll show the tool a little there. You can kind of see the edge ground down to a chisel point a little better. So again, this is in an LFIC format. So there's a 7th pin. That's the one that makes it so that it opens to control instead of operating. I didn't pick that pin, but you'll see it when I gut it. So there we go. It's open. I'm going to relock it, and I'm going to put the key in, because when the key is in, it will retain the finger pins when I pull the plug out. So I won't have to worry about them falling out. So I'm going to push in this retainer and I'm going to unscrew the back. Okay. So pull the sidebar out, and I'm going to get these sidebar springs before they fall out somewhere and I lose them. Spring for the retainer. Just try to keep that up here. All right, there's one sidebar spring. And there's the other one. So I'm going to gut the pin stacks first. I don't need to be too careful here because all of the driver pins are the same. There's no balanced pin stacks in this. And all the springs are the same. There, that ring is part of the control operation. All right, let's get the springs out. There's one more that doesn't want to come out of the chamber. There you can see the sidebar groove a little bit. It's still kind of dark in here, so you can't see it great, but it's right there. And that's where the sidebar fits in when the lock is locked. Organize my springs, and then I will get the key pins out of the plug. So, let's see, how do I do this? Okay. Oh, that's the... Oh, the 7th pin just fell out right there. Again, that's for control rather than operating. Okay, so here on the bottom, now you can see the finger pins, and this particular lock has 2 that are, I guess, center, and then 3 that are oriented slightly towards the back. So again, there's 6 positions those could be in. They each have 3 directions and 2 heights that they could be set for. So as I pull the key out, it's going to release the finger pins one by one, and I'm just going to keep them organized here. Each finger pin also has a spring inside the plug that I'll get out at the end. All right. Oh, there's the springs. Make sure I didn't lose any of those. Thankfully, the fingerprint springs are a different size than the sidebar springs, so I know which ones are which here. All right, so let's take a look at everything. So there is all of the pieces, the pin stacks and the finger springs and the sidebar all separated out. And there's the plug with the groove for the sidebar. Nothing else special in the plug there. The sidebar fits right there. You can see no milling. And then the finger pins fit right there in the bottom. And then here is the sidebar with the grooves that the finger pins fit into. I'll kind of show maybe how that works. So you can see on the finger pin, there's a notch, but it's got a bar in it. So the notch has to line up height-wise, and then the bar has to be turned to fit into the groove here. Let's see if I can stick it together. So it fits kind of like that. And there's a little bit of play when it's in the right spot, but it needs to be oriented to the right direction. And then as far as the pins go, again, nothing special, no serrations, no spooling, just plain driver pins. And the key pins, same thing, just plain key pins. And again, right there, it's a little brighter now. You can see the groove probably a little better. So the sidebar fits right in there. And last thing, I'll just show the plug here, the front of it, so you can see the keyway. So it's got an Everest keyway, it's got the Primus branding and the Everest branding on the front. So there you go, Schlage Everest Primus, picked and gutted. Thanks for watching.